Hello everyone, I'm Mark from Southern Cross Amateur Astro, bringing you another astrophotography tool user guide. In this video we're going to be taking a quick look at the status panel, which can provide you with some very handy information just by a glance at your main screen. So let's get in and have a look at it. Now I'm guessing that today most people will be running widescreen monitors, which means by default the status panel will show up on the left hand side of your main screen. If you're using an older monitor that only supports 4:3 ratios, then the panel will appear between your preview window and the log panel down the bottom down here. Now you can manually set that yourself if you wish to have something different. Simply go into your settings, Alt-S will get you in there, and you have a status panel position. Auto is the default one, so it will be on your left, but you can set it to vertical or horizontal, whichever you like. So that's just one quick thing you can do just to change the appearance a little. Next we're going to move on to what you actually see in the panel. And the first thing I'll show you here is right up the very top here where it says status. There can be two little things up here. And we'll have a look at them. If I hit F9 to open SessionCraft, and if you have automatic meridian flip turned on, I'll click yes, you'll see AMF shows up there and it starts flashing. It's just a way to let you know you do have an automatic meridian flip going, and it will be done at the appropriate time. The other thing you can do is with FocusCraft, F6 will bring that up, but if you set that to calculate on each image, by clicking that button you'll see FC comes up there, and that's just to let you know you've got FocusCraft running on every image at the moment. Turn it off, it goes away. But they're just two little things there. Now we'll get into the meat of the status panel. Now right at the top of your status panel is where you see that's your current status monitor, and it just lets you know what APT or your camera or the gear is doing at a particular time. Now once you've got a camera plugged in, there are numerous things that can show up in here, so we'll go have a look at what you might see on some occasions. So first up is the pretty simple ones. C is camera connected, NC is no camera connection. If a camera is not connected, nothing else will change up there, it will just sit there showing NC. But once you connect a camera, it will display numerous different things. If you're moving your mount, it will show you that the mount's slewing, moving or settling, and this can be whether you're running a plan or doing a meridian flip or just moving the mount by itself manually. That will show up in there once a camera is connected. If a camera is not connected, it actually won't show this at all, whether you're moving the mount or not. The next one is if you have a use of DAV to get onto polar alignment, it will tell you that DAV is in progress and how long it's going to take and everything else. So that's what that one is there. Now once you're ready to get plans running, there are multiple things that can be displayed up here at various times. First one is if you go into the advanced tab of APT settings, you have the option of setting a global delayed plan start, which means you set a time in seconds of how long you want to wait before you start any plan. So once you click the start button, it will start counting down from whatever that delay is if you have one set. And that's simply what a D and the number of seconds remaining before your plan actually starts. But that's only if you've got a global delayed start through the APT settings. Next is if you have a Canon camera connected and you've enabled in your settings for mirror lockup control, and you set an auto vibration pause at the bottom of the camera tab while you have the Canon camera connected, you'll get a little A, and whatever your pause sets here in the anti-vibration pause will be displayed a count for that. So that's what the A means, and you'll only see that if you have the Canon mirror lockup enabled. Next is the main one everyone sees, and that's your exposure count details. So basically you've got the number of exposure and which exposure you're on. Just remember that any command lines you have in a plan are also included in these totals. So you might have 10 imaging, one line with 10 images on it and one line with a command on it. So it will show a total of 11 rather than just the 10 actual images. So just remember that. Then you've got the E, which means exposure, and how long the exposure has been progressing. Under that you have how many more minutes APT expects the plan to take, the current plan, and what time about it expects it to finish. These aren't always accurate. It depends on how many commands you've got in the plan, etc, etc, but just to give you a general idea. And just note, if you're running a looping plan, whether through the shift click on the start button in the camera tab or through session control, it only tells you the details of the current running session of that plan. If you've got multiple ones, it doesn't show you the total. It just shows you for the run through that's running at this particular time. So that's the exposure count. What have we got next? Oh yeah, an in-plan pause. This is the pause you set in the plan editor when you're pausing the plan between exposures, and you just get a P and a count of the pause going on. Another one you will commonly see, especially during the transfer of images from the camera to your computer, is camera and APT is busy. You'll just get a busy signal there, and as I said, that's generally what you're going to see when you're doing transfers of files. After that is if you use the pause button on the camera tab or the pause command within a plan, it will show it as paused. So rather than the little P you get on your in-plan ones, these ones are actually show the word paused, and that will remain until you either resume or stop the plan. Another one you'll see often is dithering. Pretty basic, it's just telling you that dithering is in progress. So that's dither. If you're running multiple cameras, or for some reason you've left your guiding settings, you've set yourself onto server or whatever, you may occasionally see the sync command. Sync is just when you're running multiple cameras, it's just syncing up the dithering on the two cameras. You don't need to have two cameras connected to have this show up, but if you do see it showing up when you've only got one camera, it means you've probably got your APT dithering settings set to this one being a server. So that's just something you may see. And the final thing is if you've got a plan execution scheduled, and this is if you're shift clicking on the start button, you get the pop-up for advanced settings in there, and you can set your plan to start at a particular time, whether that's deep sky darkness or Astro night, or at a set time that you pick. It will come up. If it's running on that one, it will show as a scheduled plan, so it will just let you know it's waiting to start the plan. And that's about it for that particular part. Next we're going to have a look at a bit more of the hardware items, so we'll be right back for that. Now the next section on your status panel here deals with your computer and the camera, so we'll quickly go in. It varies depending on what type of camera you have connected, so we'll have a look at them. Okay, so basically the top line is your computer that's running APT. If you're running it off external power, it will show AC. If you're running it off a battery, it will give you the battery level you have left. Now if you have a DSLR or mirrorless connected, the next two lines show you the battery power remaining for your camera on its camera battery, and how much free space is on the internal storage of your camera. So on your little SD card or whatever you have plugged in there, that's how much space you've got left. It's not really of an issue if you're just copying them to the computer, but if you're using the card or computer and card, you will need to keep an eye on that. Now if you've got a CCD or CMOS camera connected, it's slightly different. Instead of the battery percentage, you get the power percentage for the cooling. I've got NA here because I'm running the simulated camera, which of course has no power. But if you're running a cooled camera, it will show the percentage of power you're using to get down to your current temperature. And of course then there is the current sensor temperature, and that should be pretty static once you have your cooling on. So that's basically the camera statistics that you get shown there. Okay, so next I think I'll move on through a lot of this all in one go, so we'll see how we do. Now I'm just going to group the rest of the status panel together. They're all pretty straightforward. So what you have is filter. If you have a manual or automatic filter wheel connected, it will just list the currently used filter. That's pretty straightforward. Next is your images. Now when you first start APT, this will show as 0, and it doesn't change unless you go into your image tab and select a folder to display the images from. So if you haven't got one selected, it will show nothing, but if you've got one selected, it will show the number of images in that directory. Just be warned, if you change targets during the night or change filters even, depending on how you've got your folders set up for APT, this will not change when you change targets or whatever. You need to again go in and manually find the particular folder you want and bring it up. That's usually just a case of hitting go to last image taken, and it will update, and then it will keep track of the ones in that folder only. Okay, so then you have your dithering and guiding. This is the simulator, I've got dithering and guiding disabled, so it just shows up as dithering APT, because that's what I've selected as dithering, even though I've got dithering turned off. Now if you're connected to something like PhD2, what it does is while it's guiding, it shows you what they call PhD2 state, which is a figure showing how far away from centre the guide star is. Now you really want to keep this as low as possible if you can. Below 0.2 or 0.3 most of the time is what you want. If you're getting that, you're going to have pretty good guiding. If it's jumping around a lot and you're getting lots of big figures, you may have to look at your guiding and see what's going on there. And just remember that while it's dithering, the figure will get quite big, so don't worry about it during a dither. But generally you want that down as low as you can get it, and if it's jumping around a lot or getting up really high a lot, you may want to look at your guiding. Now the next part is various limits and everything you have and times you have left. Okay, the first one's air mass. Now air mass is how much atmosphere you're looking through to get to your target. 90 degrees straight up, the zenith is 1 atmosphere. As you get closer to the horizon, of course, you're looking through more atmosphere. Once you get to 30 degrees, there's twice as much as if you're looking straight up, and once you get below 30 degrees, it really starts to pick up how much atmosphere you're shooting through. So that's what your air mass is. Air mass limit, in your location settings you can set a limit to where you want to have an air mass limit. It doesn't stop you imaging below that limit or going past that limit. It's just so that you have a limit somewhere that you can get a reference to, that you might not want to go far below. And it will tell you how much time you've got until you reach that limit if you're imaging across the sky, or if you're below the limit at the start, say you're on the east, facing east, and you haven't reached your limit, say your limit's 30 but you're imaging at 25 degrees, it will tell you how much time until you originally reach that limit. Then it'll tell you the time going until you reach it on the other side of the meridian. Now if you get over to the west and you go below that limit, it will show it as passed, so you've gone past your limit. That's what that one does there. The others are just times for various things. Deep sky darkness tells you how much time of deep sky darkness you've got for the night. Currently it's pretty much the full moon out, so there's no deep sky darkness. And the other one is you've got is your narrowband time left. So that's the time left until Astro night ends. I don't know if you can hear that thunder out there. That's why I'm in here doing this and not out imaging. Got some storms rumbling around tonight. But that's what your narrowband limit. So it's just the time you've got left until Astro night's completed. Next is your sky quality. Now, to get this to display, you need to go into your settings, under temperature and sky, enable sky quality tracking. You need to enable that and then restart APT, otherwise you will not see this. And that's for getting sky quality readings, either manually entered ones or automatic ones from a connected device. Now, depending on how you want to do it, if you're using manual, you can either be doing it by naked eye limiting magnitude, which is basically the dimmest star you can see, what magnitude that star is, or if you've got a handheld device that's not connected to your computer, you can get a reading off that and enter it. And depending on what you're entered in, it will detail whatever you need up here. So I've got it set up to use naked eye limiting, so if I enter that I can see a magnitude 6 star with my eyes and press enter, it tells you what your various readings are. And yes, we've informed Ivo that he spelt Bortle wrong, so that's, you know, I'm in Bortle 4 if I see a 6. If I can only see a 5, enter that one, it tells me that I'm in Bortle 6. So that's what that does. That's for manual entry. Now that APT supports observing condition devices from ASCOM support, if you can plug one of those in, it will automatically fill this in for you. So that's what that one is. The next line's quite simple. It's just a visual representation of what the current moon phase is, and as you can see, pretty much full. Now the next one is your deep sky darkness clock and calculator. I'm not going to go into this here at all, really, simply because there's a lot more to it than what you just see on here. I'll go through it fully at another time, because you've not only got what you see here, but if you double click on it, you also get the calculator here, and that's going to take a little bit of going through, so I'll do that in its own separate video. Now lastly is your meridian flip clock, which basically just tells you how long you've got before you reach the meridian and you need to do a flip. You can set this up if you go into your telescope settings. You can set these up to only display when your mount is connected, so I've got it set to do that. So at the moment it's showing up, I'm parked, so it's not showing any times for flips or anything else. If I disconnect the scope, it disappears. Reconnect the scope, it comes back, and that's basically all that does. And pretty much that's it for your status panel. As I said, I'll come back and do the deep sky darkness calculator in another video of its own, but that covers everything else in there. I hope you've enjoyed the video and you find it useful. I'll just wish you all clear skies, and I'll have a chat to you in my next video. Take care all.